Session 2, Part 4, Showers. At the end of this part of the session, you should all be able to identify by sight various shower valves and pumps, explain some of the key considerations when installing low pressure showers, and describe some basic maintenance requirements of showers. Okay, as we all already know, showers are where hot and cold water will come together and be mixed. So a lot of this information in this section will be relevant to both the hot and the cold water modules. Okay, so we're going to look at the different types of shower available, the minimum pressure requirements of showers, including ways that we can boost pressure, as well and backflow prevention requirements, as well as briefly touching on maintenance requirements of showers. Excuse me. Different types of showers. There's two main types really. Is instantaneous type, or there's a mixer type. And mixer types can be regular mixers, or they can be thermostatic mixers. And a lot of modern showers are thermostatic mixers, which will automatically control the temperature. Which are a lot sort of safer than the original kind of manual mixers. So mixers, mixer showers can be high or low pressure. You can get different ones depending on whether you're fitting it to a high pressure system or a low pressure system. But it should always be fed with a balanced supply. This basically means that the hot and cold should be similar pressures. They should either both be coming from storage, for example, or they should both be mains fed. Okay, so low pressure, sometimes known as gravity fed showers, would be fed from storage, and high pressure would be fed from the mains or be pumped. Okay, you can also have traditional mixers and thermostatic mixers, as I mentioned in the last slide. Traditional mixer is set manually, so potentially people opening taps, other taps in the system, could affect the temperature of the water coming out of the shower head. A thermostatic mixer have got a temperature sensing cartridge inside, which will automatically open and close the hot or cold side as appropriate to ensure that you have an even temperature at the outlet, even if people open taps. I mean, you'd see a reduction in flow, but you wouldn't see a variation in temperature with a thermostatic mixer. Okay. So here is an example of a mixer shower. You can see that between the shower head, some people call it the shower rose, and the system, there should be at least 1 meter, and that's to ensure that we have at least 0.1 of a bar of pressure. Okay, you can also see that actually this is an ideal sort of scenario here, really, that we have a separate cold distribution pipe coming from the system connecting into the shower. So if people open up other taps, it will not affect the flow. And you can also see potentially a specially made connection into the side of the hot water cylinder here, which would then be flowing to the mixer, which again would mean that there would be no risk of other people sort of running the taps on that line. Another potential connection could be a separate connection up here with nothing else on the run. That's not always what happens in reality, but this is our sort of ideal world scenario. Okay, but one of the key things to remember is this 1 meter head of pressure here. Okay, so different types of mixers. Most modern ones are thermostatic. All the ones I've got shown in the pictures are thermostatic, but you can get manual versions as well. So here we've got a bath shower mixer tap, so you can see there's a bath tap just here coming out here with a shower connected onto there as well. Thermostatic bar mixer, you can see that just here. It kind of looks pretty similar to this other one, except it doesn't have the tap outlet on it. Okay. Okay, and a concealed thermostatic mixer. This one here would be the sort of blending part of the shower would be hidden inside the wall. All you'd have is the adjustment knobs sticking out through. I prefer the look of these ones personally, but they are tricky if something goes wrong with them to maintain them. You can also get digital showers these days, and these essentially use they are also thermostatic, but they use the electricity essentially to control the temperature rather than mechanical means. Alrighty, instantaneous showers. Instantaneous showers are always fed from the mains, and they would operate at high pressure. So keep an eye out in your test if it shows you a layout which a shower is being fed from the mains, then it's going to be an instantaneous shower if you've just got one cold connection going into it. Okay. A couple of things worth noting: it must always have a double pole switch close by to it, which would normally be operated by pull cord, and it must also be protected with an RCD. We must make sure that any electric showers, instantaneous showers, are protected with an RCD, because obviously water and electricity don't mix. Okay, so if any of these things are missing, you make sure that the installation is taken out of commission. You put a warning notice on it until these issues have been fixed. So if you were asked to work on an electric shower, always check that it's protected with an RCD, it's got an appropriate means of isolation, and it should not be used. You should take it out of commission, put a notice on it, tell the customer not to use it until it's been made safe. Okay, minimum pressure requirements, we've sort of touched on this already. Low pressure mixers can work with as little as 0.1 of a bar. Okay, and that means 1 meter's head of pressure above the outlet, which is the shower rose, just like we can see here, the shower head there. Okay, high pressures mixers will need at least 1 bar of pressure, and generally speaking, because instantaneous showers work from the mains, they will also need a minimum of 1 bar to work correctly. Okay, there's some ways we can boost pressure. For low pressure valves, we can increase the height of the cistern above the shower head, but this isn't often always a practical thing to do. And another way we could do it is we could boost the water pressure using pumps. Okay, so there's 2 main types of booster pumps: a single impeller pump, like you can see just here, this diagram here. You've got a blended hot and cold going in and being pumped up to the shower rose, or you could have a double impeller pump like you've got here. You should see a separate cold and separate hot connection, both going in to the pump, and then they'd be pumped together to the shower head. Single impeller pump has got a single inlet and outlet, and it pumps pre-mixed hot and cold. You can actually see the example of it here. This is the single impeller pump, so one inlet, 1 outlet. Okay, and you can see here, so if you've got hot and cold going into it, pump there, and then pumps it to the shower rose. Double impeller pump is actually this one here. You've got two inlets, 2 outlets, and this would pump both the hot and the cold to the shower head. Okay, to reduce noise, they'd be fitted with flexible connections. They must all have flexible connections. You can see on here these sort of bendy sort of plastic connections here, and they would also be fitted on anti-vibration mountings to reduce the amount of noise coming from the shower pump or the impeller pumps, the technical impeller pumps. And they're often used on showers, but not always. They can be used for other things as well. Okay, boosted supplies. So if you use a pump, then you don't need that 1 meter head of pressure, but you would still need at least 150 mil of head to make sure that essentially that the flow switch is activated, because when the water starts to flow, when you open the valve, the water will start to flow, and that's what activates the flow switch to turn the pump on. Okay, you can, interestingly, you can get sort of negative pressure or negative head pumps, but you'd obviously need to sort of put a lot more thought into the installation. With a traditional impeller pump, you'd need to use you'd need at least 150 mil of head. The flow switch also identifies when the valve has been switched off, and it tells the pump to switch off when the valve is shut. Backflow prevention requirements. It's key to make sure we have at least 25 mil gap between the shower head and the spillover level of the appliance to ensure we have an AUK3 air gap. If it can fall below the spillover level of a bath or a shower tray, you need to fit a double check valve on the inlet and the on the inlet of both the cold side and the hot side. But the ideal method is to fit a hose retaining ring to prevent that falling below the spillover level of the appliance. Okay. Maintenance requirements. This is kind of a nice bridge onto our next session, which we're going to look mainly at maintenance. Different types of showers, we need different types of maintenance. For example, if you're working on an instantaneous shower, you need to carry out safe isolation procedure before working on them. You need to be careful because they're obviously running on electricity. One of the sort of key issues that happens with thermostatic showers is the temperature sensing cartridge can become damaged over time and not control the temperature correctly. If pumps don't start, one of the key, or won't switch off as well, one of the key issues might be the flow switch, which might need to be replaced. And for all showers, no matter what sort of type, if you fit them in a hard water area, periodically the shower rose, the shower head, will need to be cleaned out to remove lime scale. Okay. Good idea. The best thing to do, you can always do, is read the appliance servicing and maintenance information before you start the job, and you can generally find these online. So as long as you know what sort of type of appliance it is, have a look online, you'll find the maintenance and servicing requirements there. Okay, and now it is time for your task.